Hello, I'm Giff Thornton. I'm a lawyer at Adams & Reese in Nashville, Tennessee, and it's been my privilege for the last 10 years to serve as lobbyist for naifa before Tennessee state government. I'm glad to be with you virtually today, and I want to take this time to introduce who we are and what we do for you at the state level, talk some about what your role can be in making us more effective in doing that work, give you a primer on Tennessee state government, and then discuss some specific issues that we expect to face in 2012 in Tennessee. My team here at Adams & Reese consists of Brad Lampley, Tiffany Mason, Brooke Ponder, and myself. We are all registered lobbyists for naifa and are in the legislature during the first half of the year when they're in session on a daily basis. We work closely with Kathy Balcom, your state executive director, as well as your state leadership. Currently, Gabe Smith is your Tennessee president, and we work with Gabe regularly. Our role is to be your eyes and ears, and if necessary, your voice before Tennessee government on issues of concern to you and your profession. Your role, if you will, is to make yourself known to your local legislators so that you can be their local go-to people on issues of concern to the insurance industry in general and to naifa and your profession in particular. Our desire is to have a partnership with you so that when issues are before the legislature or in the executive branch, I can call on you to work with your individual legislators to see that the best policies are adopted for our business. Let's talk about state government. As you know, Tennessee is divided into 3 branches. Our executive branch is led by the governor. Bill Haslam was elected last fall as Tennessee's governor. He was formerly the mayor of Knoxville, and prior to that served in his family's truck stop business, Pilot Oil. Governor Haslam is a Republican. He was elected with an overwhelming majority, took office in January of this year. Even as I make this video, he is in the Capitol building holding budget hearings in preparation for the 2012-2013 budget cycle. The governor in Tennessee appoints his commissioners. It's a very powerful position. And our Commissioner of Commerce and Insurance in Tennessee is Julie McPeak. The Department of Commerce and Insurance regulates producers like yourselves. They establish what your continuing education requirements are, the timing of the renewal of your licenses. They approve policy offerings. They make policy for the state. Commissioner McPeak has been in private law practice prior to this appointment, and in years past served in the State Department of Insurance in Kentucky. So she brings that experience to her job. We have found her to be very accessible and very savvy in understanding issues of concern to our business. The third person I want you to know in the executive branch is Brian Hale. Brian leads the Office of Health Insurance Exchange Planning. As you know, the Federal Act on Health Reform requires each state to either adopt its own health insurance exchange or to default to the federal government. That decision has to be made by January of 2013. Brian and his staff have been seeking input from stakeholders like naifa and insurance professionals across the state over the last year. 2 weeks ago, Brian released this white paper, which is a summary of the feedback that he has received thus far on the issues relevant to the operation of a health insurance exchange. And he is soliciting input from people like us as to the accuracy of what he says here. This document's available on the state's website at tn.gov. I Googled health insurance exchange and found it very easily. I encourage you to take a look at it and give me your feedback, and if you feel comfortable, give Brian your feedback on what he is saying here. It'll be very influential to Governor Haslam and the legislature as they come closer to the time when they have to make these decisions. The executive branch is responsible for the preparation of the state budget every year, and that's the single most important piece of legislation the General Assembly will consider. That takes us to the General Assembly. Our legislature is bicameral. We have a state Senate and a state House. 33 members of the Senate, 99 members of the House. They meet every year, beginning the second Tuesday in January. Each year they have to adopt a balanced state budget. Our Constitution requires it. Our state Senate consists of 20 Republicans and 13 Democrats following the 2010 legislative cycle. The Speaker of the Senate is Ron Ramsey from Blountville. The Majority Leader is Mark Norris from Memphis. The Speaker Pro Tem is Bo Watson from outside Chattanooga. And the Democratic Leader is Jim Kyle, who is also from Memphis. Key committees of interest to NAIFA are the Finance Committee and the Commerce Committee. Finance Committee obviously is where the state budget is considered. Any bill that costs money or spends money goes through the Finance Committee. In the Senate, that's led by Randy McNally, longtime senator from Oak Ridge. The Commerce Committee is led by Jack Johnson, who is a banker from Williamson County, just south of Nashville. The Commerce Committee has a broad jurisdiction, but most bills of specific interest to the insurance profession go through the Commerce Committee. Both those committee chairs are appointed by the Speaker. So Speaker Ramsey, by virtue of holding that office, has the prerogative to appoint committee chairs and committee members. Those are the committees where we are most active. On the House, the 2010 legislative election cycle produced a sea change. Out of 99 members of the House, 64 Republicans were elected. So you went from a razor-thin Republican majority, and prior to that, 50 years of Democratic majorities, to an overwhelming Republican majority. We have a new Speaker. Beth Harwell from Nashville was elected Speaker of the House. She's an educator by training and a former chair of the state Republican Party. She appointed all new committee chairs. I'll get to that in a second. The other leadership in the House is Gerald McCormick, the majority leader from Chattanooga. The Speaker pro tem is Judd Matheny from Tullahoma. Democratic leader is Craig Fitzhugh, a banker and lawyer from Ripley in Lauderdale County in West Tennessee. The key committees in the House also are Finance and Commerce. Finance is led by Charles Sargent. Charles is a State Farm agent, good friend of NAIFA, good friend of the insurance industry, not a member of NAIFA. We need to work on him on that. But he is a longtime House member and leads the Finance Committee. The Commerce Committee is led by Steve McManus, who is from Cordova, outside of Memphis. Steve is an investment professional and has been very accessible to us and has spoken to a number of our groups, including our Day on the Hill in 2011. While I'm thinking about it, Day on the Hill for NAIFA in 2012 is Tuesday, March the 6th. Tuesday, March the 6th. You'll be hearing more about this from Kathy Balcom, your state executive director, but I hope you'll make plans to attend. It's a very important day for us as your advocates in Nashville to have a show of support, a critical mass of people from around the state who are willing to take a day and travel to Nashville. I hope it's interesting. I think it is, and I believe it's a valuable experience for you. So I hope you'll consider giving us that day next spring to come up and rub up against your state government in person. Legislative issues for 2012. We've talked about the state budget. I think the governor has asked his departments to present budget cuts of 5% and 10% based on an expectation that money will be tight again in the next fiscal year. We've talked about health insurance exchanges. The governor is closing in on the time when he has to make a decision, and likely that will require legislative action. So we may see a bill in 2012 on that. In 2011, under the leadership of John Holmes, your state president from Knoxville, we saw the enactment of legislation to develop further the charitable gift annuity tool for those of you who are in that business, and think that was a real advance. In 2012, I don't know that we'll have any other initiatives of our own. We will always be in position to play defense, where those who would seek to change the definition of insurable interest on life insurance policies, for example, or to do anything else that might encroach on your business or do anything that would impede your ability to take care of your clients. So we'll be here in Nashville doing that work. It's our delight to represent you before state government in Nashville. We want to be accessible to you. I've asked that a slide show on the screen now that gives you our contact information. Feel free to call Brad or Tiffany or Brooke or me anytime, or to send us an email, and we hope we'll be responsive and try to take care of your needs on whatever they may be. Again, I encourage you to be active in your local elections, wherever you live. I ask you to support the NAIFA PAC, IFA PAC. Elections are very expensive. Campaigns are very expensive. Most of the candidates are not in a position to fund their own campaigns, and they need our help. They need our friendship as they are seeking the opportunity to serve the state. And IFA PAC is a wonderful tool that allows us to walk alongside these candidates and show that friendship and deepen our relationship so that we can be in a position to advocate for your interests and that we can have the best possible people in office in Nashville in the General Assembly. So I really encourage you to be generous to IFA PAC. I thank you for what you've done in the past in that regard. I thank you for your time and attention today. I invite you again to stay in touch with us with any questions you have. Specifically, I would love to know whether this video is an effective tool for us to communicate with you. This is the first time we've tried it. I'd be glad to receive any feedback, positive or negative. I appreciate it. Thanks.